Celestial Betrayal. The quantum stabilizer hummed beneath Mira Solstice's fingers as she made the final adjustments to Astroria's planetary defense matrix. Almost there, she whispered to herself while the blue holographic displays reflected in her amber eyes. Just a few more calibrations. Behind her, the pristine white laboratory gleamed with cutting-edge technology that had made Astroria the jewel of the Celestial Alliance. Floating gravity panels supported workstations where fellow scientists monitored energy outputs with practiced precision. The air smelled faintly of ozone and recycled oxygen. Dr. Solstice called Director Harlow from the doorway, his silver uniform immaculate as always. "The Defense Council requests your presence immediately." Mira frowned. "Now? I'm in the middle of crucial adjustments to the quantum field. It's urgent." His expression revealed nothing, but his eyes held something that made Mira's stomach tighten with apprehension when she entered the council chamber. 12 stern faces stared down at her from an elevated platform. Their expressions ranged from disappointment to barely contained fury. "Mira Solstice," began Counselor Viridian, her voice cold as space itself. "We have evidence that you embedded a catastrophic failure protocol within the defense system code. You are charged with high treason against Astroria." "What? That's impossible," Mira's voice echoed in the chamber. "I would never—" "The evidence is irrefutable." Viridian gestured, and holographic data streams appeared displaying code fragments that indeed showed a deadly sabotage pattern embedded deep in the system. "Your signature is all over this." "This isn't my work." Mira frantically searched the code. "Someone planted this. I'm being framed." Counselor Thorne leaned forward. "We've traced the origin to your personal lab terminal activated with your biometric signature at 300 hours last night. I was asleep then." Panic rose in her throat as guards moved to flank her. The trial lasted mere hours. The evidence mounted impossibly against her, despite her desperate protests. When the verdict came, Mira stood numb with disbelief. Exile announced Viridian to Umbria. Gasps filled the chamber. Umbria, the mysterious moon orbiting the gas giant Morsus, was considered a death sentence. No one had ever returned from its violet-tinged atmosphere. "You can't do this." Mira struggled against the guards. "I'm innocent." Her personal belongings were limited to one small container into which she hastily packed her most treasured possessions, including Pixel, her small spherical drone companion. The guards allowed this small mercy perhaps out of pity. The exile pod was barely large enough for one person. Designed for one-way journeys, it offered minimal life support and no comforts. As the airlock sealed, Mira pressed her palm against the viewport, watching Astroria's gleaming spires recede. "Pixel activate," she whispered. The small drone blinked to life, its blue sensor eye focusing on her. "Hello, Mira! Where are we going?" "Somewhere no one returns from," she said bitterly, as the pod engines engaged, sending them hurtling toward the ominous purple moon hanging in the void. "But I swear I'll find a way back and clear my name." As the pod entered Umbria's atmosphere, violent turbulence shook the small craft. Alarms blared, warning of imminent system failure. The last thing Mira saw before impact was the strange violet landscape rushing toward her, and an impossible sight, what looked like a castle floating among the clouds. Violet shadows. Consciousness returned to Mira slowly, like ripples spreading across still water. First came the scent, something sweet and unfamiliar with hints of electricity. Then sound, a soft melodic humming that seemed to vibrate through her very bones. Finally, she opened her eyes to find herself lying on a bed made of what appeared to be luminescent purple moss. "You're awake," said a voice like velvet and starlight. Mira turned her head and gasped. a woman stood by an arched window, through which violet light streamed. Her skin was a delicate shade of purple that seemed to shimmer with its own internal light. Her eyes were deep indigo with pupils that reflected like mirrors. Her long, flowing hair appeared to be made of liquid, shadow moving as though underwater despite the absence of current. "Who are you?" Mira asked, attempting to sit up. "Where am I?" "I am Zephyr Nightshade," the woman replied, moving closer with a grace that seemed almost supernatural. "Sovereign of Umbria, and you are in my sanctuary." Mira noticed Pixel hovering near the ceiling, recording everything with its sensor eye. "My ship crashed." "Yes." Zephyr nodded. "I had my sentinels bring you here. They found your small companion as well." She gestured to Pixel. "Fascinating technology." "You speak my language?" Mira observed, trying to process everything. "And this room. How is this possible? Umbria is supposed to be uninhabitable." Zephyr's lips curved into a slight smile. "Another lie told by your people. The Astorians have many secrets they keep." She moved to a window and gestured for Mira to join her on. Unsteady legs, Mira approached, and what she saw took her breath away. Sprawling below was a landscape of impossible beauty. Forests of crystal trees stretched toward the horizon, their branches capturing and refracting the purple light of the sky. Floating islands drifted lazily through low-hanging clouds connected by bridges that seemed woven from pure energy. Waterfalls flowed upward, defying gravity before cascading down in glittering arcs. "This is impossible," Mira whispered. "No," Zephyr replied. "Merely unknown to your people. We prefer it that way. But why am I here? Why did you save me?" Zephyr turned to face her, those mirror-like eyes, seeming to look directly into Mira's soul. "Because I called to you, Mira Solstice, I brought you here." "You?" Anger flared suddenly. "You're responsible for my exile?" "No." Zephyr shook her head. "Your enemies on Astroria did that. I merely ensured. You would come to Umbria specifically. Why would you do that? Because you are the one we have waited for." Zephyr raised her hand, and between her fingers danced what looked like pure energy in the form of a small galaxy. "Your soul carries the resonance we need?" "My soul?" Mira stepped back. "What are you talking about? Centuries ago, your people waged war against mine. They feared our connection to the energy they called mystical, but was simply a different form of science they couldn't understand. In their fear, they unleashed a weapon, a quantum curse that bound the souls of my people to the moon's core energy." Zephyr's voice remained calm, but her eyes betrayed ancient pain. "I alone remain fully conscious while my people sleep, as energy waiting to be freed. And you think I can help somehow?" "I know you can. The curse can only be broken by someone unjustly cast out a soul that was rejected by its home." Zephyr stepped closer. "Someone like you. You expect me to believe this?" Mira's scientific mind rebelled. "That's not possible." In response, Zephyr took Mira's hand. A jolt of energy passed between them, and suddenly Mira could feel the truth of her words resonating within her own body. "Come," Zephyr said. "Let me show you my world. Then you may decide." As they walked through corridors that seemed grown rather than built, Mira noticed how the walls pulsed with gentle light responding to Zephyr's presence. Pixel followed, recording everything. "Your little friend." Zephyr nodded toward the drone. "It's connected to you, isn't it?" "Yes," Mira replied. "Pixel was the only friend they let me keep. Then it is welcome here as you are." Zephyr paused at a massive door that opened at her approach. "Welcome to Umbria. Mira Solstice, the moon that needs your soul." Moonlit Secrets. Days on Umbria blended together in a dreamlike haze as Zephyr guided Mira through the wonders of her realm. They walked through forests where trees whispered ancient songs and crossed meadows where flowers bloomed in response. To their footsteps, the entire moon seemed alive, pulsing with energy that Mira's scientific mind struggled to categorize. "This defies everything I know about physics," she marveled as they stood on the edge of a lake where the water flowed in spirals, forming temporary sculptures before dissolving back into itself. "Your science has limitations," Zephyr replied, her voice gentle. "It seeks to categorize and control, while our understanding embraces the flow of energy between all things." She knelt and touched the water, causing it to glow where her fingers made contact. Mira watched, fascinated, as Pixel hovered nearby. "I've never seen anything like this." "Few outsiders have." Zephyr stood gracefully. "Come, there's somewhere special I wish to show you." They walked to what appeared to be a sheer cliff face, but when Zephyr pressed her palm against the rock, it rippled like liquid and parted, revealing a hidden passage. Mira followed hesitantly into a cavern that took her breath away. Inside, thousands of crystal formations hung from the ceiling, each one glowing with a soft inner light. In the center of the cavern stood a massive crystal pillar that pulsed with energy, sending waves of light through the smaller formations, creating a symphony of illumination. The heart chamber. Zephyr whispered, "This is where my people sleep, their consciousness preserved in energy waiting to be freed." Mira approached the central pillar, feeling a strange pull. "I can almost hear them," she said, surprised, "like whispers just beyond hearing. They recognize you." Zephyr moved closer, her proximity sending a flutter through Mira's chest that had nothing to do with fear. "They know why you're here." "Tell me about them," Mira asked, wanting to understand about you. Zephyr's eyes grew distant. "We were once travelers between worlds, masters of energy manipulation. We could reshape matter with thought alone. Our civilization spanned 3 moons, but Astroria feared our abilities, calling them unnatural. They attacked first with weapons, then with something worse. A quantum entanglement that bound our souls to this moon's core. And you alone remained conscious. As queen, I was protected by ancient wards. But even I am bound here, unable to leave, unable to free my people." Her voice held centuries of loneliness. "I've watched the stars change patterns, waiting for the one who could break the curse." Without thinking, Mira reached out, taking Zephyr's hand. The contact sent a shock of energy between them. Zephyr's eyes widened in surprise. "I'm sorry." Mira started to pull away, but Zephyr held firm. "No," she whispered. "It's been so long since I felt another's touch." Something shifted between them in that moment. The air seemed charged with possibility. As they stood hand in hand, surrounded by the gentle pulse of crystal light, Mira felt an undeniable connection forming. Later, they sat on a floating garden platform, watching twin meteors streak across the violet sky. Umbria's strange beauty had begun to feel like home in ways Astroria never had. "Why me?" Mira asked finally. "Of all the exiles they've sent here, why did you call to me specifically?" Zephyr turned those mirror eyes toward her. "I've watched you for some time. Your mind works differently from others. You see patterns where others see chaos. You question when others accept. You create when others destroy." She reached out, brushing a strand of hair from Mira's face, her touch lingering. "And your soul resonates at a frequency that matches our own." The touch sent warmth cascading through Mira's body. "What exactly would breaking this curse require?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zephyr's expression grew serious. "A willing sacrifice, a soul freely given to replace the binding energy." "My soul," Mira stated, understanding dawning. "You need me to give up my existence." "Not exactly." Zephyr's fingers traced patterns on Mira's palm, sending tingles up her arm. Your consciousness would join with Umbria, becoming part of us forever. And you? What happens to you? I would be free, Zephyr said. Free to live as a mortal again. Free to leave this place if I wished. Mira pulled her hand away. So I'd be trapped instead. Not trapped, Zephyr's eyes held a plea. Transformed, becoming part of something greater than yourself. Mira stood, needing space to think. You brought me here knowing this, knowing what you would ask of me. Yes, Zephyr admitted, rising as well. But I vowed to myself that I would show you everything first, that you would understand what's at stake, that the choice would be truly yours. Their faces were close now, close enough that Mira could feel Zephyr's breath against her skin, close enough to see flecks of silver in those indigo eyes. Without conscious thought, she leaned forward, her lips meeting Zephyr's in a kiss that sent energy crackling between them. The sensation was like nothing Mira had ever experienced, as though every cell in her body had awakened to a new frequency of existence. When they parted, both breathless, Zephyr looked at her with wonder. In all my centuries, no one has ever done that. Mira smiled despite herself. I guess I'm full of surprises. Indeed you are, Mira Solstice, Zephyr whispered. Indeed you are. Heart's Dilemma. The kiss changed everything. Between them now flowed an undeniable current of connection, drawing them together like gravity itself. Each day, Mira found herself more enchanted, not just with Umbria's impossible beauty, but with its mysterious queen. They spent long hours in the ancient library, where knowledge was stored in crystal spheres that projected memories when touched. Zephyr taught Mira to manipulate the ambient energy, creating small dancing lights between her fingertips. At night they walked beneath twin moons, their hands entwined as Zephyr shared stories of her people's golden age. I never understood what it meant to belong somewhere until now, Mira confessed one evening as they lay among luminescent flowers watching the stars. On Astoria, I was always the outsider, the one who asked too many questions. And here? Zephyr asked, her voice soft as she traced patterns on Mira's arm. Here I feel like I've found a piece of myself I never knew was missing. She turned to face Zephyr. But there's still so much I don't understand about what you're asking of me. Zephyr propped herself up on one elbow, her liquid shadow hair flowing around them, creating a private universe. Come, I'll show you. They descended deep beneath the floating castle, through spiraling passages that seemed to breathe with life until they reached a chamber pulsing with raw energy. At its center hovered a sphere of compressed violet light so bright Mira had to shield her eyes. The binding core. Zephyr explained, this is where the curse is anchored, where my people's souls are tethered. It's beautiful, Mira whispered, approaching cautiously, and terrible. Zephyr's voice held ancient pain. Touch it, feel what I feel. Hesitantly, Mira reached out. When her fingers made contact with the energy field, visions flooded her mind. Thousands of lives suspended in twilight, neither dead nor truly alive, voices crying out across centuries, the weight of endless solitude. She gasped, pulling back, tears streaming down her face. That's what it feels like, she asked, horrified. That's what you've endured all this time. Zephyr nodded. For 8 centuries I have been their anchor, their only connection to consciousness. I feel their dreams, their hopes, their despair, every moment of every day. Understanding dawned fully now. And if I gave my soul, your energy would replace the binding, your consciousness would diffuse, becoming part of Umbria itself. My people would awaken. I would be mortal again. Zephyr took Mira's hands. But you would cease to exist as you are now. The weight of the choice pressed on Mira like a physical force. Would I suffer? No. Zephyr shook her head. You would transform, becoming something. Greater your awareness would spread throughout Umbria. You would be everywhere, the sky, the trees, the waters. You would know freedom beyond anything a physical form could experience. But I wouldn't be me anymore, Mira whispered. Not as I am now. Not as you are, Zephyr agreed, but perhaps more than you could imagine becoming. That night they made love beneath a canopy of floating crystals, their bodies melding in a dance of light and shadow. As Zephyr's hands traced patterns across Mira's skin, energy flowed between them, creating a connection that transcended the physical. Their souls seemed to touch, communicating in a language beyond words, creating a temporary union. That hinted at what Mira might experience permanently if she chose sacrifice. Afterward, as they lay entwined, Zephyr sleeping peacefully against her, Mira stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. She had grown to love this strange moon with its impossible physics and haunting beauty. She had grown to love its queen even more. The thought of freeing Zephyr and her people from centuries of suffering filled her with purpose, but to lose herself forever. Mira, Pixel chirped quietly, hovering nearby. Incoming. Transmission from Astoria detected. Startled Mira carefully disentangled herself from Zephyr's embrace and followed the drone to a private alcove. Play message, she whispered. A hologram appeared showing Director Harlow looking older than when she'd last seen him. Dr. Solstice, if you survive on Umbria, hear this. We've discovered the truth. Evidence has emerged showing Counselor Thorne framed you working with external forces. Your innocence has been proven. We're sending retrieval ships. To bring you home, your name has been cleared. The message ended, leaving Mira frozen in shock. Home. She could go home. Her reputation restored, her life returned to her. When? She asked. Pixel, retrieval ships will arrive in approximately 27 hours, the drone replied. Mira returned to the bed where Zephyr still slept, her purple skin glowing softly in the darkness. She looked so peaceful, so beautiful. How could Mira leave her trapped in this endless existence? But how could she give up? Her own life, her identity, everything she was? I know you're awake, Zephyr said without opening her eyes. I felt the message arrive. I feel everything on Umbria. They're coming for me, Mira said, tears forming. They know I'm innocent, Zephyr sat, up her eyes reflecting starlight. Then you have a choice to make. She took Mira's face between her hands. Return to the world that cast you out or remain with me. By sacrificing everything I am, Mira whispered. By becoming everything you could be. Zephyr countered as dawn broke on what might be her last day of existence as herself. Mira stood on the highest tower of the floating castle watching the horizon. Her decision would change not just her fate, but the fate of an entire civilization. What would you choose? She asked Pixel, who hovered faithfully beside her. I am programmed to preserve your existence, the drone replied. But I have observed that existence has many forms. You appear happier here than you ever were on Astoria, Mira smiled. When did you become so wise? I learn from you, Pixel chirped, always. In the distance, she could see a faint glimmer that might be approaching ships coming to take her home. But where was home really? Souls entwined. The retrieval ships. From Astoria hung in Umbria's atmosphere like silver tears against the violet sky. Their arrival message echoed through the floating castle's communication system. Dr. Mira Solstice, we have come to bring you home. You are cleared of all charges. Please respond with your location. Mira stood in the heart chamber before the pulsing, binding core. Zephyr beside her, their fingers intertwined in silent understanding. The weight of decision pressed upon her like a physical force. They'll send search parties when I don't respond, Mira said quietly. They won't leave without me. Then you must go. Zephyr's voice held resignation, though her eyes betrayed her pain. I won't keep you here against your will, I never would. But your people, Mira gestured, to the thousands of crystal formations, each housing a suspended soul, they'll remain trapped. As they have for centuries, Zephyr released Mira's hand, stepping back. Perhaps another will come someday. Pixel hovered nearby, projecting data streams. Mira analysis, complete of the binding core energy signature, I have detected a potential alternative approach. Both women turned to the drone. Explain. Mira commanded hope, flickering unexpectedly. The curse requires soul energy of specific resonance, frequency. Pixel's blue eye pulsed as it projected complex equations into the air between them. However, total soul transference is not necessarily required. Mathematical models suggest a quantum entanglement solution may be viable. Zephyr stepped forward, examining the projections. What does this mean exactly? It means, Mira said, excitement building, as she understood what Pixel was suggesting. We might be able to create a bridge instead of a sacrifice. For the next several hours, as Astorian, ships circled above Mira, worked frantically, combining her quantum physics knowledge with Umbria's energy manipulation techniques. Zephyr brought ancient crystal tools from the library archives, while Pixel calculated precise resonance frequencies. The principle is similar to quantum entanglement, Mira explained, as she configured crystal amplifiers around the binding core. Instead of replacing the binding energy, we create a harmonic resonance that disrupts it, a controlled cascade failure. And, my people? Zephyr asked hope, and fear mingling in her voice. If this works, they'll be free. Mira positioned the final crystal. But instead of my consciousness being absorbed, I'll be connected to Umbria, sharing energy without losing myself. You would still be bound to this moon, Zephyr realized, unable to return to Astoria. Mira smiled, touching Zephyr's face. I don't want to return. I want to stay with you, but as myself. The depth of emotion in Zephyr's eyes nearly overwhelmed Mira. No one has ever chosen to stay, she whispered, not in all my centuries. Well, I'm choosing now, Mira said with determination. Pixel, begin the sequence. The drone activated the crystal array, creating a web of energy that encircled the binding core. Mira stepped into the center, placing her hands directly on the compressed light. The pain was immediate and intense, as energy flowed through her body, connecting with her very essence. She could feel the curse fighting back ancient quantum locks, resisting disruption. It's not enough, she gasped, struggling to maintain the connection. The resonance isn't strong enough. Without hesitation, Zephyr stepped into the energy field, placing her hands over Mira's. Then we do this together. Their energies combined in a blinding flash of light. The castle trembled as power surged through its foundations. Mira felt herself stretching, becoming both more and less than human. Connected to Zephyr, connected to Umbria, yet still herself through. Their joined hands flowed centuries of memory, pain, hope, and possibility. With a sound like 1,000 voices sighing in unison, the binding core shattered. The curse energy, dispersed in waves of light, flowing outward through the castle, through the forests, the waters, the very air of Umbria. Mira collapsed to her knees, Zephyr falling beside her. Still, their hands remained clasped, their connection unbroken. Did it work? Mira whispered, her voice raw. Before Zephyr could answer, the crystal formations throughout the chamber began to glow brighter. One by one, they dissolved, releasing streams of light that coalesced into humanoid forms. Some purple-skinned like Zephyr, others in shades of blue and silver. Their expressions held wonder as they looked. At their hands, their bodies experiencing physical form again after centuries, my people, Zephyr, breathed, rising to her feet. You did it, Mira. You freed them. The first awakened Umbrian approached them, bowing deeply. My queen, we live again. His eyes turned to Mira, curiosity evident. And who is this who has broken our long nightmare? This is Mira Solstice of Astoria, Zephyr said, pride evident in her voice. My chosen partner and now bound to Umbria as I am. Bound but not trapped, Mira clarified, standing shakily. I can feel it, the connection to everything here, but I'm still myself. The communication system crackled to life again. Final notice, Dr. Solstice. We cannot maintain orbit indefinitely. Please respond or we will be forced to depart. Mira looked at Pixel. Send them a message. Tell them I'm alive and well, but I found my home here. Tell them I forgive them, but I won't be returning. Are you certain? Zephyr asked, searching Mira's face. This is truly what you want? In answer, Mira pulled her close, their lips, meeting in a kiss that sent ripples of energy through the chamber around them. When they parted, Mira smiled. I've never been more certain of anything. Later, as they stood on the highest tower, watching the Astorian ships grow smaller against the stars, Zephyr took Mira's hand. What happens now? Now, Mira said, feeling the pulse of Umbria flowing through her veins, feeling the connection to Zephyr vibrating at the quantum level. We rebuild. We reconnect your people with the universe. We create something new together. Zephyr's eyes shimmered with emotion. For centuries I existed in solitude. Now I have my people back, and I have you. And I have found where I belong, Mira replied, watching. As the first of the awakened Umbrians emerged from the castle, their eyes wide with wonder at the world they'd been absent from for so long, not exiled, but home at last. As twilight deepened across Umbria's violet landscape, Mira and Zephyr stood, together their silhouettes merging into one. Against the backdrop of stars, a new chapter was beginning, written not in sacrifice, but in choice, not in loss, but in transformation, as the twin moons rose, casting their glow across the crystal forests. Mira felt the rhythm of this strange, beautiful world beating in perfect harmony with her heart. What does it feel like? Zephyr asked. Being connected to Umbria? Mira smiled, bringing their entwined hands to her lips. Like finally being complete. Like finding the missing piece of myself I never knew I was searching for. She gazed into those mirror-like eyes that had captured her soul. Like falling in love twice, once with a queen, once with a world. And as they kissed beneath the cosmic dance of stars, both knew with absolute certainty that across all the vast universe they had found exactly where they were meant to be, souls not sacrificed, but entwined forever.